So we started a website. You can check this out. It's atfp.org, adoptaterroristforprayer.org.
It's Channel Mom with Jenny Dean Schmidt. We're here for you.
And in this day and age, when we think there is nobody we'd like to see die more than the terrorists who are beheading Americans, what do we do with a Philip Yancey who says, what if we decided to love terrorists? What if we adopted a terrorist for prayer, the way you talk about this one group? How are you going to defend that in the public?
Well, there's a story behind that, as you know, because I was speaking on a prior book, a book on prayer. And I was going through the various prayers of the Bible, and the one I kept running into was, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. I said, man, I don't do that. I started thinking, well, who are my enemies? Well, Russia used to be, but I never thought of praying. I grew up in Atlanta. We used to hide under our desks, afraid of the Cuban missiles. I never thought of praying for those people. They're our enemies. We're guard ourselves against them. So when I was speaking in my church, I brought some enemies, pictures. I don't know if you remember, but back in the Gulf War days, they actually did playing cards of the 52 top terrorists, Osama bin Laden, various people. So I brought some pictures of those playing cards and projected them for the church and said, here they are. What would happen if every church in America adopted one of these guys, learned to pronounce his name, and started praying for him? Isn't that what Jesus asked us to do? Well, there happened to be somebody in the audience. He lives in Colorado Springs. He's a colonel in the Army, and he drove up. I had never met him, but he drove up to hear me speak that night. And he went home, and that really got to him. So he started a website. You can check this out. It's atfp.org, adoptaterroristforprayer.org. And you can go on their website and adopt someone. He gives a little profile. You have to commit to pray and sign up. He also has a comments page, and people responded exactly. Here's a guy in the Army, right? And some people knew who he was, and they write in things like, pray for them. They're trying to kill us. We ought to murder them. We ought to kill them. We ought to blast them. You know, this is the craziest idea I've ever heard. Why would Jesus even say such a crazy, outlandish thing? And this is what he says. He says in the Sermon on the Mount, he said, the reason I want you to do this is because the more you do this, the more you're like God, the Father. God causes the rain to fall, the sun to shine on the evil and the good alike. And if you can find a way to adopt a spirit of love toward people who are least like you, then you'll know a little bit of what it's like to be God. Be like God, loving the enemy.